Good evening and welcome to Jesuit Mission's second gratitude webinar. My name's Helen Forde and I'm privileged to serve as the CEO of Jesuit Mission. I'm also very excited to welcome our two guests this evening, but before I do, just a few housekeeping matters. This is a webinar, so unlike other Zoom calls, you'll only be able to see the panelists and myself. So you won't be able to view the other webinar participants, and sadly we can't see you either. But that doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you, because we do. So for the first 20 minutes, I'll be asking Stany and Father David some questions. If you have any questions that you would like us to ask either of them at the end of the session, just go down to the Q&A session on the bottom of your Zoom screen, and we can then work through some of those questions at the end of our interview. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Fr David Holdcroft and Stany Dibwe. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thanks, Helen, very much.
And thank you for removing your masks, because I know that you're wearing masks in the office, so greatly appreciate that. And we think of you during these difficult times. So firstly, Father David is an Australian Jesuit who's based in Rome. He's also the education specialist at Jesuit Refugee Service International. David founded the program we're going to talk about tonight, the Digital Inclusion Program, which is run in Dzaleka refugee camp, Malawi in Africa. And tonight, David will share with us how this innovative program came to life and the changes that he has seen because of the program. As for Stany, Stany fled the Democratic Republic of Congo several years ago and now lives in Dzaleka refugee camp in Malawi. And Stany was part of the first group of participants in the Digital Inclusion Program back in 2019. And Stany, we're so grateful to have you with us this evening to share your own story. This is the first time that we've had a project participant join us, so welcome.
Thank you.
David,
Thank you.
I might start with you. Could you tell us, as a little bit of background, how long you've been working with refugees overseas?
Oh, that's a good question. Being Father Provincial Mark Raper assigned me to JRS Australia. And during that time, I began working in Papua New Guinea. We had a project up there. And also we did just some short work with Sister Marianne Lockery in Timor-Leste. Then in 2008, I went on placement to Malawi as part of the last stage of training for us Jesuits, and I stayed there for 6 months. And as sometime I ended up acting as country director. I was meant to be the pastor for the camp, but I did pastoral work with the camp, but I also filled in country director for a few months. I then went to South Africa, and Father Mark released me to JRS International to work firstly in South Africa and then as regional director for all of Southern Africa, which at that stage was 7 countries. No, 5 countries, I think. It was the south of Democratic Republic Congo, Angola, Zimbabwe, Malawi, and South Africa itself. And during that time, I introduced this sort of the idea of higher education, post-secondary education. We began some courses in Malawi.
Terrific, thanks, Father David. Father David, many of us won't have any concept of what it's like at Dzaleka refugee camp. Can you give us a little bit of an overview of what the situation is like there for people like Stany living there?
Okay, I'll probably hand over to Stany because he actually lives there, but I'll begin by saying that it's a camp. It's about 45 kilometres north of the main city, the capital city of Malawi, Lilongwe. It's situated on a kind of a the side of an escarpment on some hills. So it's quite windy and exposed. It's not a great place, but it's situated in a very densely populated farming area, agricultural area. And it's home to about 50,000 refugees at the moment. The camp is quite small in area. It would just be probably a little bit more than a square kilometre. So you can imagine that it's very, very densely packed. And I noticed yesterday in Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh, there was a big fire there. And this is something that we've worried about been concerned with Zuleika, because it's very, very densely packed. Life is very basic. It's a little like a small town, albeit one that's kind of very poor. So there's a doctor's clinic or a medical clinic. There are schools. There's the UN offices. There's a few sort of cafes and restaurants, inverted commas, where you can get some food, and there's a small market. And people get water at pumps from underground. But life is very simple and it's very poor there.
Thanks, Father David. Stany, over to you. How long have you been living in the camp, and can you share a little bit about your life there?
Yeah, I'm in the camp since 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Congo, from DRC. If I'm here, it's because of some security reason. And I'm myself, I'm alone living in the camp.
Mm-hmm.
So life is not simple, but I'm trying to survive. Yeah.
Thanks, Stany. Father David, we might now move on to talk about the Digital Inclusion Program. Can you tell us a bit about it and why you created the program?
Yeah, thanks. I'll just say with Zuleika, it's also a very young population. And I think that really sticks out when you go there. There's a huge amount of young people under 18 and young adults as well. During my time in Southern Africa, I saw that JRS was great, JRS, Jesuit Refugee Service, was great at doing education. And we have primary schools, we have secondary schools for about 7,000 or 8,000 people in this particular camp, but elsewhere as well. But we offer a small amount of tertiary scholarships for people who are lucky enough to get through secondary school. But for those who haven't, which is the vast majority, there's some there's some livelihoods courses in things like hairdressing or carpentry or something, very basic vocational skills. And they do a good job as well. But the vast majority of refugees have sort of some secondary education, but not complete. And to me, there was a bit of a gap. And I was thinking, well, what can we do with these people? Because after they leave school, they're doing home chores, but they're not doing much. Another difficulty is that there's not a lot of money in these areas. And also that it's a challenging environment because refugees are generally not allowed to work outside the camps or whatever. So these are great challenges, and that led me to look at the possibilities of the digital revolution, in a sense, the digital world. And in 2018, I was introduced to a young woman by the name of Jing Go, who she's American, but she founded this startup in France, in Paris, called Connexio, which trained refugees in France to work online, freelancing, doing translation, transcription, things, working remotely for companies. And we talked over a cup of coffee, and I was interested in the possibility of introducing this to a place like Malawi. So the course that Jean's group offers in our learning centre is it's the basic Microsoft Office suite, but to a really high degree of proficiency. So understanding the way, the profession of freelancing and working online, understanding the way platforms work, the way jobs work in that, the professional standards, managing budgets and finance and all sorts. So it's not just the technical stuff, but it's also managing a small business while you're doing it. And that's what we were able to introduce there with the help of Jesuit Mission. Thank you very much. And also another American funder. We were able to introduce it, so we began in 2019.
Thanks, David. Stany, you were lucky to be one of the first participants in the program in 2019. How did you find out about the program and what drew you to the program?
Thank you. First of all, I like to study, and especially in technology fields. I am a software and network engineer certified from DRC, but here in Dzaleka, I could not work, even get an opportunity, as the government don't allow us to work, we as a refugee. When I heard from this program, my hope was to get in this program and take advantage of the training and be able to work online. I was like very excited and focused in doing whatever it takes to be in the program. And thanks to God, I was taken in the program. Terrific.
Thanks, Stany. Father David, what's the success of the program been? And particularly for those participants who have finished the full program?
So we've had, I think it was a genuine, what we call a pilot program. Mm-hmm. We were trying something new, and we knew we'd strike issues, problems that we'd have to learn from and find solutions for. The Stany, or I think you said, you're lucky that Stany was lucky enough to be the first cohort. Sometimes I think, not sure if it was lucky or unlucky, because there was a bit of a guinea pig element to it. We had 60 students begin the program. Of those, I think it's about 70% passed the exam, passed the sort of basic training to the European Computer License Standard. And pretty well all of those have gone on to earn money and to some kind of employment. Now, when I say employment, I don't mean a 9-to-5 job. I mean that they are bidding for jobs and they are winning their bids, and this is competing with the world, essentially, people from anywhere. Many of the refugees in Dzaleka have the advantage of having the French language and a number of languages under their belt. So translation services and things like that come quite naturally. About a third of those people are women. We are half woman, but we only got a third, but we can improve. The second cohort, we had one cohort of 30 students, the second cohort of 30 students have seen an increased success rate. So I think we are improving. We have a target of 80% in employment and earning income, and we're beginning to hit that. I think the average monthly income is in the region of about $200 US. And that for Malawi is actually quite good. It's not a full income as if you're a teacher, but it certainly enables you to buy food, buy extra things, buy medicines. And this is just absolutely critical for for life in Dzaleka.
That's quite an impact, David. Congratulations. Just a reminder to our webinar participants that if you're interested in asking a question, just use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen, and we can pose those questions to Father David and Stany towards the end. Stany, just a question for you. What's happened since you've participated in the program? What opportunities have come after you've completed the course?
Thank you. I want first to point out that in Africa, we are studying to look at for jobs. When I was at school, I was like, if I finish, I'll be working at Airtel, working in some companies. But this program gives me the opportunity not only to look at, to search for jobs, but to create also jobs. So after completing this program, now I'm able to working online. I have even created some business online, my own business. So let's say this program make me a full entrepreneur. And the most important opportunity that I got in this program is that I got married. You know, it could be impossible for me to get married without job, with just our support from the UNTR. UNTR could not give me money for marriage, but this program gave me that opportunity, and that is amazing. Let's say amazing. And other thing is that I'm now part of the GRS family. I'm now teaching. It's very, very important for me.
Congratulations, Stany, on getting married. What's your wife's name?
Jedaya.
Please pass on our regards to her from Australia. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Stany, what sort of work do you do? What sort of jobs? Is it graphic design, formatting? Just to help our participants understand.
I'm focused in translation, doing English and French translation. Most of projects I'm working is translating websites, applications, as I have already learned programming. I'm also working in content writing blogs, articles, something like that.
And that's on internet platforms like Fiverr, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm focused in Upwork. Yeah, Upwork, because it's the secure platform where we are working safe. Everything is safe there. Yeah, but there are many platforms.
Okay. And just so everybody knows, at the last Jesuit Mission fundraising appeal, Stany designed a flyer that was included in that, so you can see his work. So Stany, thank you for doing that for us. Father David, just might move on to how many participants are you hoping to train this year and in the coming years? And then we might move on to some questions which have come through.
Thanks. I will say just that when you talk about, you asked me about the success of the program, just to hear somebody like Stany talk about what his life has done, to me that's, or what has happened to him afterwards, that to me is just speaks of the program and its success. We did have a lot of teething troubles. To work on these platforms, refugees need an identification document, and the piece of paper that says they're a refugee, that is kind of the currency in the camp, that the platforms didn't accept that, and they actually need a sort of a passport-like document. So it took us a long while to get those from the United Nations in Malawi. So the internet was always also a big challenge in Dzaleka. We're hoping, we're moving the program, we hope to replicate it in Malawi, probably for a few more people this year. I'd hope sort of 90 or 100 people. And then we're also moving the program to Kenya's Kakuma camp, which has about 200,000 people in it. And we're hoping to train 400 people there.
Fantastic.
And we've gone into a partnership with a group that's it's a social entrepreneurial group where refugees can actually borrow money or borrow money from them at a very low interest and buy computers and things like that, so they can set up their business. There's capital to set up their businesses. Mm-hmm. Also hope to do a smaller group, again, about 60 people in Jordan this year in the Middle East, where there's good internet and yeah, we think that the environment is right to do that there. So altogether about 560 people, we hope, this year. So as we grow this program, there are also other countries who are in the waiting list, particularly in Francophone Africa and Burundi and Cameroon. And we're just looking at trying to settle the internet issue there before we start it.
Thanks, David. Thank you to everyone that sent through some questions. Just a comment from Maya, which is, how good is the internet connection at the moment in Malawi? So internet's going strong there, Stany. Mary Ellen asked Stany, how do you get paid for the work? Is that done electronically?
Yes. We are linking our bank accounts to the platform. Then once the clients make a payment, the Upwork sends us the funds.
Okay, thank you. And a question from Wendy. Is there any advanced programs planned to teach online, such as accounting packages and animation, etc.?
Accounting we've certainly thought of. We've also thought of coding, and we hope to actually advance that. So the Microsoft Academy courses we are actually teaching in Kakuma at the moment, and I'd like to introduce some of those to Malawi and Jordan next year. And accounting packages, a lot of graphic design packages, I think are worth doing. And yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit. But yeah, it's just a matter of sort of choosing the right courses and raising the sort of standard of skill to the level where these people can undertake these courses successfully.
Okay.
And if anybody has some spare satellite space out there, we could do with a satellite over Malawi now.
Any idea how much that costs, David?
No, but I could find out.
Okay. We have a few comments about women and girls. Marianne is asking, what is preventing girls taking a greater role in the program? And then also there's a question from Elizabeth, who's saying, how are young women selected for the program and what qualifications or characteristics do they need to have?
Perhaps I'll have a go at that one first, and then Stany can follow up. We wanted 50%. We wanted gender parity on this program. And as with a lot of things to do with gender parity, it's not about saying you want 50%, it's the pre-existing educational level. And also the fact that women may be more occupied at home doing house chores and things like that. So we have to do our homework and make sure that the pre-existing education brings them up to speed, but also we have what we call graduation strategies, where we would help somebody with their situation at home so that they could be free to attend the course. And we probably we didn't do that well enough.
Mm-hmm.
There is a childcare centre attached to our learning centre where women who have children can put their children in the childcare centre and then attend the courses. And Furaha Wabatoto. And that's a good strategy, but we need to improve.
Was there anything you wanted to add there, Stany?
Yes, I wanted just to say that as I got a chance, that opportunity to have and to be what I am today, I want also to participate in what Fr David is doing in El Paz. I want to create a platform where the refugee can have access and learn some freelancing courses. That platform will be online to help every refugee in the world to access those courses. And locally here in Taleka, I am creating a program which will be called GIP instead of DIP. The GIP will be focused only in girls, because here in Taleka, women are not focused in technology, and they are not like interested in what is being in that program. So this program will be focused only in girls. We'll be trained how to work online by helping them to learn Excel, Word, internet, something like that. So, Father David, let me assist you in another way.
Let me assist you.
Gentlemen, we've had a few questions around, is the course taught online or is it in person? And who are the teachers? Where do they come from?
Stany, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I'm part of the teachers team. As I said before, I'm from DRC. The program is in French, so we need to know French and English, but the most important language is French. So all of us, we are from DRC because of French language.
Yeah. Sorry, Stany, go ahead.
That's why I said I'm happy to be part of the DRS family.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
So
Stany,
Helen,
sorry, David.
The course is taught online from Paris, pardon me, but we have on the ground tutors, of which Stany is one.
Right.
They're not tutors, they're kind of instructors, and that can help the people because it's kind of self-paced, and but can just really assist and accompany the students through the stages of the course.
Okay. Have a question here from Joan. Were there any difficulties initially with authorities finding out people were working on this type of program within the camp?
I think I can answer that one. This was, of course, the concern that we had straight away. In practice, people are allowed to work in camps, and the government does allow exceptions. But we went to the government and also to a lawyer and got a labour lawyer or immigration lawyer's opinion. And we do this in all the countries where we're considering this. But the government said to us that it was okay for refugees to work and earn money so long as the platforms were physically located outside the country. And because Stany people are working mainly in French, there was not considered to be a huge problem anyway in Malawi. What's happened recently is that the Malawi Higher Education Authority came to us, saw the program, and have asked us to include more Malawian participants, which we're very happy to do, but we will have to switch to English to do that.
Right.
And Connexia are able to do that. So we actually do have the support of the government there.
Thanks, David. Just on English as an important language, Stany, Fiona says your English is wonderful, congratulations. But she says, how important is it to have English as a language skill? And is there support given in the camp to others for learning English?
Is it my question? It's for me?
If that's okay with you, Stany, or you could throw it to David.
Yeah, the English language is very important because we there is many nations here in Zaleka, but the language that we can use and communicate for is English. So sometimes you can speak French, but people are like, French, but English is the language that we must use. It is a must to use English to communicate in the community. Yeah.
And Stany, there's a lovely comment here that people were touched by your message that you feel part of the JRS family. And Rosie from Melbourne also says, I love that we were able to extend the Jesuit family via this webinar. So it's wonderful that we're able to connect you with our supporters here in Australia. I'm sure you'll be able to scroll through the questions and comments, particularly those ones that I haven't been able to touch on. I'm just looking, did we touch on how students were selected? That's a question from William. David, are you able to answer that one?
Yeah, so applications, I think we received in the region of 300 applications for the first 30 places. And what we had to do was just to, it wasn't a first come, first serve. We had quotas for women, as I referred to before. And also we wanted a reasonably similar pre-existing skills set. You know, they certainly needed literacy. They needed French to a European sort of B1 level. And they needed some skills on computer, generally speaking. I think in the second cohort, the second lot of 30 students, we were a little bit more uniform, we sort of, it was a bit of trial and error to arrive at the sort of the right skill set. And what we're hoping to do this year is to actually require students to do a pre-existing computer course so that Connexio can come in at a fairly, we're confident at the skills that the students have pre-existing.
Thanks, David. David, a few of your fellow Jesuits say hello. So Ian Radfin, and I have a question from Enoch Choi. He says, what are the greatest challenges for implementing such a program? And how can people in Australia be supportive and in a practical and effective way?
Stan, would you like to? What were your greatest challenges with the program?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Oh, what were your challenges in completing the program or being a tutor?
Yeah, challenges there. You know, in the camp, most of people are like without hope. Then if such program is initiated, so we need to be focused in teaching, because most of the students learned computer science in their home country, but the freelancing program is very new to all of us, and we need to be focused and connect your help us to be focused and be able to share the program with other students. As Fr David said, the internet was very difficult to maintain here, but with the time, everything was like more accessible and easy to access. Yeah.
Thanks, Stany. Was there anything you wanted to add, David? David, before you do, I just want to let you know that we have had someone say they may have a contact for a satellite, so please let us know the requirements. So,
Yes.
so please do get in touch with us and let us know.
And I asked that somebody save the chat after this for that purpose.
Yeah, sure.
I think the internet has certainly been a challenge. I think in some ways everything has been a challenge. The students wanted more time to practice, so we needed to open the centre on weekends. We can't really open the centre at nights because of safety concerns. The UN identification documents is always a challenge. And I think what Stany alluded to, students, particularly if they've had traumatic backgrounds, sometimes they give up easily when there's a challenge, you know, when there's something they can't do. Some people are very good at meeting those challenges. Some people sort of find it very difficult. And this is a new world with which they're not familiar. You know, students in Australia are familiar with the tech world and become so, but students in Malawi are not necessarily familiar with this world. So it's really opening horizons, and people need to be accompanied doing that. Yeah.
I'm being a little bit overwhelmed with wonderful comments and questions. And I'm conscious of time, but just a couple more. Father Vids in Manila. Hello, Father Vids. He says he's moved with what was said about hope. He says it's a challenge to help generate hope, but when hope is lit, so many wonderful things can happen that is life-giving. And I think, Stany, you're a great example of that, of the hope that can be offered through programs like JRS are offering. Another comment from Louise. So inspired and humbled by Father David and Stany in this program. Such an innovative and practical initiative. Congratulations, even though it sounds like there have been many obstacles. Just scrolling through them now. There's a question from Scott, and this might be our last question before we close up. Are you planning on running the program outside of camps to other underprivileged communities? Is there a plan like that into the future? or it's at this stage just within a refugee setting?
So I should explain, it's Jesuit Refugee Service. So we are mandated to work with refugee communities. Both Dzaleka and Kakuma in Kenya are refugee camps. They really operate like little towns. So we're moving from a concept of a camp to a settlement, which is integrated into the local economy. That's another story. Our program is in the centre of the city. So it's looking at refugee communities in the city, and that's just as important. And if we ever get to Cameroon, we'll also likewise be working in the middle of a large regional centre called Bertua. So yes, yeah, very much. And what we're hoping to do is to involve 30% local community, because we do believe that it's a good way of integrating refugees into the local community, and vice versa. Yeah, that's the practice, and that's what we would like to do.
Thanks, David. David, there's a shout out from our new provincial, Father Quinn Vu. Thank you for hosting this helpful webinar. Great to hear that the poor students in Africa are not forgotten, and keep up the great work.
Thanks.
There was one practical question that I think is worth raising, which was, is there any way we can promote the services of the graduates of the program, like we did in terms of engaging Stany to design our flyer? How do we go about promoting the work of the graduates?
Stany, do you have ideas on that?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Do we just need to go to Upwork or Fiverr or something like that?
Let's, I think that's something that we can talk about afterwards.
Okay.
Because I think the possibilities are endless, and I think we just need to give some good thought to that.
Okay, terrific. I'm really sorry that we're going to have to bring tonight to a close. It's been, I really am inundated with questions and comments. I could be reading them out for the next half hour. So thank you to everybody who's participated in the webinar. We hope you found it informative, and were inspired by the work that Father David and the JRS team and Stany are doing. And a really heartfelt thank you both to you, Father David, and Stany for being so generous in your sharing tonight. And please know that we're right beside you, walking with you. And Stany, we look forward to staying in touch and seeing how your business evolves over the coming months and years. So good luck and God bless. And we look forward to perhaps catching up with you again later in the year. Any final comments from either you or Stany or David?
Oh, for me, it's okay.
Pardon?
It's okay. No comments.
No comment. Just au revoir. Is that right? A bientôt.
And just from me, Helen, thanks to all to you people and to all the supporters of Jesuit Mission, without whom we couldn't have done this. So I think it's one of the things I really love about this program is it actually took people on. This program is the result of the hard work of people on 4 continents working together for something good. And I think that's the story, the real story. It's kind of so thank you to your supporters and to you as well.
And I'd just like to echo Father David's comments on that. Projects like this don't happen without the support of our family here in Australia. So many thanks for for your continued support of Jesuit Mission's work overseas, and we hope to bring you more examples of how your generosity is helping change the lives of people like Stany. So look forward to seeing you next time, and for those living in Sydney and the surrounding areas, stay safe and dry. I don't know if Stany and Father David know we're inundated with rain and floods, so I hope everybody stays safe.
Yeah, I wanted also to say thank you to Jesuit Mission supporters for every supporter, for every support that they give to the program, because it's not only the program, but let's say me too. They support me too. The program made possible, and my life is now simple and easy. Yeah, thank you very much.
That's wonderful to hear, Stany. Please consider yourself part of the Jesuit Mission family now here in Australia too.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there and look forward to seeing you at the next webinar. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Helen. Thanks, Bob.
Bye-bye.